everybody, welcome back. I'm back. I had a really enjoyable summer spending a lot of time with my family and it was so great, but I'm ready to jump back into all things polish and gardening because I've got a garden channel also. You can check me over there, Polish Garden, but I'm ready to focus on all the fall collections. As you can see here, I have a lot coming in and so I'm excited to share them with you guys. Today I'm going to start with the Essie. This is the Essie Fall 2024 Punk at Heart collection. I bought these on Ulta. They're available there now for $10 a piece. Beyond Polish will be getting this collection. They always get the fall collections, so I'm assuming that they will be getting it there. I have a discount code there. It's GoLarry10, and so I will let you know on social media usually when that collection pops up there, and it's usually even cheaper as well. So that's the best place to buy it, but you can get them at Ulta now because they are available. Okay, before we get started, I'm going to talk about what's on my nails, and this is a polish from the collection, and I think this is a good transitional one, so we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm also thinking it might be the year for me to do a transitional polish recommendation because I realize every time this year, about in August when I sit down to paint my nails, I'm like, man, it's kind of hard to figure out what I want on my nails because we're kind of past all the bright colors, or at least I am. I'm like kind of tired of them. I'm not quite ready to go to the deep colors, and so maybe I'll brainstorm this week and try to come up with a video for that. Also, what's on my lips? I have a few buxom lip plumpers on here. I've got Sandy, which I'm not sure is available anymore. I put that on and then I wanted something a little bit deeper, so I did add Whitney on top, and this has a little bit of glitter and it's a little bit deeper than this one, so I kind of have both of these on at the moment. They're both great. I love buxom lip glosses. They're really nice for plumping and they're nice and glossy. So I like this collection. There's 6 polishes. We have 2 that are shimmery and the rest are creams, and they all have really nice formulas, and I love that it's punk at heart. I feel like it is a little bit more of a grungy, edgy collection, which is really for the few that maybe don't totally go along with the collection, but let's look into all the polishes. Loud and Powerful is this first one that I'm going to talk about, and this is actually the one that I have on my nails, and I do think it's a great transitional polish. This is a really nice kind of mauve-y leaning pink. It's a little bit dusty, but it also does have some brightness to it. It is more bright than I expected, but on the nails too, it's a really nice color, and it goes really nice with this teal colored shirt, which I feel like is a nice color that I tend to wear, and so I really like this one. The formula on this one's really great too. It's really creamy, but yet glossy at the same time, and applied perfectly in 2 coats. I think you could almost get away with 1, but I feel better about 2. In fact, when it dried down, I was like, oh yeah, I think it definitely needs 2, especially when I was applying it this morning. So I think this is a really beautiful one, and I liked it more than I thought, because when I initially saw it, I was like, oh, Essie has quite a few colors like this. But let's look at those comparisons now so you can see I spent a lot of time pulling out my pinks and finding those pinks that were the closest, and there's nothing that's exactly the same. So I do feel like this one is a little bit unique, but I'll let you look and determine if you want to get it as you see these comparisons. So let's get into those comparisons. I compared it to Spinning in Joy. It's from the Essie Love collection, and that one's lighter, more mauve, and maybe a little bit warmer. And then Sunrenity has more purple, it's more muted, and Slumber Party On is brighter and darker. So those are all a little bit different, and while this has a little bit of mauve quality to it, it's a little bit brighter. Felt like colors like, let's see, It Takes a West Village, Breathe In, Breathe Out, and Suchu Swell, those were all more purple leaning, and this is definitely more of a pink. So I feel like it's a good balance. It has a little bit of purple in it for sure, but it's also a little bit warmer and maybe has a little bit of orange in it. Hard for me to pinpoint the exact shade on this one. I don't know why I found it so difficult, but I did find it to be quite unique. I didn't find any OPIs that were super close to this one either. It doesn't look super original, but when you compare it to the polishes that I have, it actually kind of is. I'm happy to be wearing it. I think it's perfect for this time of year. Next we have Patch It Up, and it's this nice kind of swampy green, so it is a little bit more yellow leaning. I tend to like ones that are a little bit cooler tone, but Essie has been coming out with a ton of these lately and so I have a lot to share with you. They're not all exactly the same, so I think this comparison that I'm going to have up later is going to be super helpful, but the formula on this one is just perfect. It's going to be opaque in 2 coats. Again, it's got that kind of creamy glossy formula. Essie is just killing it with their formulas lately, and it just slides so smoothly. So I do feel like this is also a little bit more muted, so I could also say that it was kind of like a muted lime with a little bit of tan in it because it is a little bit khaki leaning, but let's look at those comparisons. So I compared it to Essie Willow in the Wind, and that one's lighter and brighter, and then Heart of the Jungle is cooler toned. Obviously that one's my favorite because I tend to lean towards the cooler toned colors. And then Essie Told You So is more of a true kind of tan leaning green. So that's the difference there. So those are the closest ones that I found in my collection. So I just went out and pulled out Win Me Over because I realized I didn't put that one in. It's a little bit lighter than this, but it's kind of the same color tone. So that one is pretty close. It does have a little bit more tan in it too. So a little bit different too. So this is just a little bit deeper and darker than this, but kind of the same color tone. And then OPI had some greens, but a lot of them are more like cooler toned ones, or they have a lot of deeper teal leaning greens, and so this was quite unique. But like I said, Essie's been coming out with a lot of these greens. I do want to say really quickly, in the Morgan Taylor collection there's a beautiful green that I'm super excited about that's kind of a grayed out cool toned murky green gray polish. It's a stunner. I cannot wait to get to that collection, you guys. So good. I'm probably gonna do that collection next, or the OPI, whatever you guys want. Let me know in the comments down below. I probably won't be wearing this one. I don't really reach for the swampy leaning greens, but I do feel like it goes along with kind of this edgy grungy collection. Next up is Studs and Spikes, and I fell in love with this polish, you guys. This one's actually pretty fun, and I think this will surprise you guys because I don't really gravitate towards the glitter colors, and this is more of a shimmer, I would say, than a glitter. I guess they're really fine glitter particles, but the base of it is really beautiful. It's kind of edgy, which I love, especially for fall. It's got like a brown kind of red, so I would say like a maroon base to it, and it's just stunning, you guys, especially with these. I would say they're silver, but they're kind of like a soft silver. I don't know how to explain that. It's not like a bright in your face silver glitter. It's just beautiful, you guys. I'll let you just look at the swatch instead of keep trying to explain it. And the formula on this one is really, really nice, and when you add that second coat, it just adds a beautiful depth to it, and it's just stunning, you guys. I think this is going to be probably one of my favorites from the collection, just because I did find that it's a little bit unique too. And I do like these shimmers more than ones they've come out with in the past, because I do not like metallic polishes very much, and this doesn't have that element to it. Let's look at the comparisons though, because I do have some that were kind of similar and will help you give a good idea of what this color tone is. So first we have Gadget Free, and that's more of a metallic silver, so I wanted you to see that. And then Stop, Look, and Glisten is the closest. That's more of a gray brown, though it doesn't have that like mauve tone to it. But look at the depth of that polish, you guys. I forget about that one. That has little gold particles in it that just totally stand out, and it's so beautiful. And I kind of forgot about that polish because I don't reach for these. But if you forgot about that one, pull it out, because I think that one's going to be really fun too. And my opinion on glitters is slightly turning, I would say, so I'm liking them a little bit more. And then Under Lock and Key is more of a warm champagne shade. This is definitely my favorite out of all of those, and I'm going to be reaching for it. I think it's going to be so fun, especially with like a plain cream sweater. When I wear polishes that are a little bit more punchy like this, I do like to wear something that's a little more simple. So that's what I would pair with this, but I really enjoyed this one. Then we have Never Too Bold, and I was actually really excited about this one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But this one's really, really pretty. It's got a teal base to it. When you look at it, it looks pretty navy, and I was kind of surprised when I applied it that it had kind of this corally teal base, but it builds up to be a richer, kind of more navy leaning polish as you add more coats. It's pretty opaque in 2 coats. It surprised me how much it built up. You might need 3 depending on how you applied if you do thinner layers, but I was fine with like 2 moderate layers. It's really pretty. It's also got this kind of silver glitter or shimmer in there that's really nice. And the reason I was excited about this polish, because I have been just craving, I don't know why, I kept thinking last month, I'm like, this fall I really want to pull out that old polish from that collection that was like a shimmery blue, and it was like bell bottoms or pants. I knew it was something. And so when I saw this one, I'm like, oh yes, that's the one that I've been craving. So I definitely want to wear this one, and I think I like it a little bit more. So let's look at those comparisons, and I'll talk about that one. I believe it was from like 2015 or 2016. I'll put it on the screen here. So I compared these to Cause and Reflect, and that's lighter and more gray. Wild Card is matte. I can't remember if I put a top coat on that or not. I don't think I did. I probably should have. I meant to, but I'm thinking now that I didn't. So that one's different. And And then I would say Bell Bottom Blues, that's the polish that I was talking about, that I have been thinking about the last couple months. And that one's very close, but it does have a metallic element to it that I didn't remember, and I don't really like that. And that's probably why I didn't reach for that one too much. But I like this one better because it doesn't have that element to it, and it's a little bit shimmery, and it's perfect for fall. So this one has me totally wanting fall to come. I know, surprise, I'm liking these glitter polishes a little bit more, and I think you guys are gonna like this one too. Next up is a Namesake Punk at Heart, and this is a deep navy polish. It's really pretty. I have to look at it because it's a little bit smoky. It's kind of an interesting shade, but when you put it on the nail, it deepens a little bit, and it has kind of like gray tone to it as well. And it also has like a hint of teal to it. So it has a little bit of green in it. It is a little bit more crelly, but it builds up nice in 2 coats. So if you don't know what crelly is, that's like a mix of like a jelly polish and a cream. So it's a little bit sheer, but it builds up really nicely in 2 coats. So that's definitely the definition of this polish, and I really like it quite a bit. These are kind of the navies that I like that are a little bit more muted and softened a little bit. And let's look at comparisons, and hopefully you can tell the differences. It's really hard with these darker polishes to show the differences, but I will try to talk about them and describe them for you. Pearls and Caviar, and that one's creamier and dustier. That's one of my favorites. I love that one so much. And then Bobbing for Baubles is slightly more dark. Booties on Broadway is the closest, I would say, but it's more of like a true blue instead of like a teal leaning blue that Punk at Heart is. So I don't know if you need this one. We have quite a few navies, but I did like it, and I'll let you make that decision, but I'm glad that I have it and I love it. I will say though that this polish and the other blue, you might want to watch out for staining. I feel like the Bell Bottom Blues was much more of a stainer than this one, but I do feel like these both have the potential of staining, and so you definitely want to wear a base coat. So my favorite base coat is C&D Sticky Base, and I've had a bottle for quite a while, and then I had a few backup bottles, so I haven't bought it, but then I recently talked with one of you, and you found out that it for sure is discontinued, which is crazy. I'm not sure why. It's really hard to find now. And that was a rubber base coat. Another one that I like is Orly Bonder, and that's a rubberized base coat as well. But I need to do a little more research on that and find out what base coat is really good, because honestly, I don't wear base coats as often as I should. Yeah, but I do with polishes like this and reds for sure. But if you have a favorite base coat, especially one that's rubberized, will you let me know in the comments down below, because I think I want to try some out. I'm going to be better about wearing it. Yeah, so let me know down below. So watch out for staining on this one, just because I think it has the potential, but I think it's a beautiful shade. Leather Weather, love the name. I think it's so fun, and it gets me excited for fall, and colors like this definitely get me excited for falls too. This is more of like an eggplant plum shade, and it's really deep and rich, and on the nail it looks almost black. It definitely goes a little bit darker than it looks in the bottle, and I love shades like this. And this one's going to build up really nicely in 2 coats. So you're definitely going to want to do 2, because I think it adds a little bit more depth. It's really tough to do comparisons with polishes like this, and like I mentioned before, that are really dark. And so I'll talk through the differences with you compared to other polishes that I have pulled out, and I pulled out quite a few. And I also want to let you know I pulled out some that are my favorite darkest dark polishes. Pulled those polishes out months ago, but I'm ready to film it because it's that time of year, and so I'm going to have that video out pretty soon too. Okay, so let's talk about those comparisons. So Kimono Over is more of a grape purple. So that is more, has a little bit less like red wine in it. I feel like Leather Weather is kind of in between the really grape polishes and the deep wine polishes. So it's more eggplant, I would say. Sights on Night Lights, is that what it is? Is really close, but I feel like Leather Weather has, like I mentioned, just a little bit more red in it. It's a tiny bit different, and maybe not as muted and more rich, because it definitely gets more rich on the nails as you apply it. And then Carry On is more of those wine shades, and I wanted to pull that one out because it's pretty popular, so you could see the difference there, and hopefully you can, because it's really dark. But if you can't, I'm explaining it to you so you know. So there's those comparisons. I also did pull out some OPI polishes, and some are right here actually in my favorite stash. And I guess I'm gonna give them away, but Good Girls Gone Plaid and shades like that that are more wine leaning, are more wine leaning. So they're a little bit different than this. But essentially, you know, you're not going to be able to tell those slight differences in darker light, only in like bright light. So anyway, this one is slightly different than the other one. I will say it is pretty close to Sights on Night Lights. I love this one though. And I love these kind of polishes for fall, and it's definitely getting me in the mood for fall. I'm just ready for this heat to be gone. It's time for some cooler sweater or leather weather. So fun. Okay, so it's time for me to pick favorites. Oh boy. So here are my favorites. I picked this beautiful pink. This one's called Loud and Proud. Studs and Spikes is this one that I'm probably most excited about, to be honest, as well as this one, Who Am I? Never Too Bold. That's the other glitter shade. And then let's see, Leather Weather. So those are my favorites from the collection. Overall, I do think this is a pretty good collection. I do get that kind of grungy feeling in the fall, and so this makes me super excited. We will see you in my next video, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.